Happy Monday. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez, joined by, I'm not sure who this guy is next to me, smoking a pipe.
Professor Beck.
Joined by Reverend Dr. Professor Beck. Colonel, sorry. Stu Bergier and Jason Buttrell. Glenn, top story.
Top story has to be the Jussie Smollett story. I love it.
Is that how you say it?
No.
No.
He said it about 10 different ways today, so that's number 6 in case you're keeping track.
How do you say it?
Smollett.
Smollett.
That's what I'm going for.
He never mispronounces last names.
No.
At all.
Who, Glenn?
Black Trill.
That's closer than
Stu, top story.
Applying the media's standards to the media.
Why would you do that?
I would try it. I thought we'd try it. See what happens.
Okay, getting really crazy here on President's Day. Jason.
a coup in progress? Possibly, possibly not.
I could actually hear the exclamation or the question mark at the end of that.
Wait. Is it Venezuela or
progress?
here?
Here.
Here, okay. Yeah.
All right, before we get into all of that, I want to thank our sponsor, American Financing. I feel like it's way more credible to hear this from a guy with a pipe. So I'm going to turn it over to him.
Thank you. Gentlemen, as the little lady was saying, if you're looking for a home loan, these are the people to go to. They don't work for banks. They work for you. They don't have commissions. So, they're just putting in a 9 to 5. They're just trying to get through the day.
Wait, what?
No.
Yeah, well, they're trying to get through the day, and they're
people.
not trying to screw you. That's the deal. They actually, they really care about the individual. They really want to put you in the right deal. They won't make a wrong move with people that are.
As Stu would know.
Stu would know because he called them and he's like, "So I have this. Well, some would call it a scheme." And they're like, "If you can get that deal, go for it. We don't provide that deal." And so they're just rock solid people. If you want to close quickly and you want to be pre-approved in 10 minutes, it's AmericanFinancing.net.
Or you can call 800-906-2440.
Yeah.
Sir, yes. Jussie Smollett?
Smollett. Okay, so the current headline on the Drudge Report is, "Was this just a ratings ploy?" Bum, bum, bum. No, I don't think it was, but I thought of that. Somebody asked me, "Do you think that was a ratings ploy?" And I said, no. And then as I was walking away, I thought, well, why do I feel that way? Well, because no one would stir up this much hatred for ratings. And then I realized, yes, they would. Yes, they would. Everybody does it all the time now. But only talk radio is blamed for that. That's the only one that will do that. Nobody else will do that. Well, isn't that what CNN? Isn't CNN, with some of their stories, for instance, Kavanaugh and Covington, they're not just committing fake news. They're not only committing fraud here. They're destroying lives, and I'd like to make the case that they're engaged in hate crimes. And it is their hatred of Donald Trump that makes them see anyone with a MAGA hat. You could be Mother Teresa. You put a MAGA hat on Mother Teresa, they hate her. In fact, that might be a new painting. I think Mother Teresa in a MAGA hat, they would...
Or a maggot hat.
Or a maggot hat.
That could be good too.
Yeah. They would hate her. And they would destroy. And you could say, it's Mother Teresa. She was wearing the hat, and that's a trigger. They are so wrapped up in their hatred that they cannot see what's happening to the country. This guy, I don't know what his motivation was, but his motivation doesn't matter. And if we want this to stop, we have to prosecute him and put him behind bars. I don't think it will happen, but the law says that he should get 3 years in jail. He should get every day of 3 years in jail. And anyone who is concocting these kinds of stories need to go to jail. It's not because I'm trying to protect the MAGA hat wearers. I'm trying to protect the people who are actually hurt by racists. And that does happen. But if we just continue down this road where I can cry racist and nobody's going to look into it because it serves the purpose because of your hate, of Donald Trump, nobody's going to listen to the cries of racist or sexist or misogynist or any of the other ists.
And it's important. I know we talked about this extensively off the air. That we don't know if the police accusations are true yet either, right? Like if this isn't done yet.
They did come out and say today that he is officially no longer considered a victim.
He's still denying it, So,
but he's also refusing to talk to the police.
Oh yeah, I mean, look,
the
I think
police
there's all
asked him
sorts
to
of
come
problems. I just want to put out the blanket disclaimer, just so because I do think alleged is still applies in this case. We're innocent until proven guilty, and so we're still there. The media didn't do that for these mysterious Cletus folk that had assaulted him in the first place, and I do think that does still apply to him, even though I think for sure at this point he's lying. He's still innocent until proven guilty.
So, but if he won't talk to police, and I can't believe
he was happy to go on Good Morning America.
Oh yeah,
I can't believe that they wouldn't just pick him up for questioning. But if he decides I'm not going to talk to police, what are you going to do?
well, they're going to have to get a warrant. They're going to have to.
You're going to have to
force him. Yeah.
Right. You're going to have to force him. But if he refuses to talk to police, then you're just going to have to guess. We can't be in this world. Laws have to matter.
Yeah.
The truth has to matter.
There's Glenn. We could obviously get lots of surface analysis from the fill-ins on Steve Deace today, but I felt.
Did you hear them?
Oh
They
my
were
gosh,
awful.
it was
We're right here, guys.
Oh my gosh. I think that stepping back, because I think most people have talked about the idea that the media is terrible, and that he's obviously does not seem like he's a good guy in many ways, and everything swirling around that approach of it. I think what really matters about this story is the incentive structure we have set up in this country, which is incentivizing people to fake attacks because that's the highest level of glory in our society. You get attacked by some evil, racist Trump supporter, then you are God to the media, and you get the treatment as if you went to the moon. We're giving the people who get insulted on the subway the same treatment we gave Neil Armstrong. And that is a problem.
He doesn't get a ticker tape parade.
He may. I think he may.
I think there is a chance that he turns this around. Look what happened with, was it Baltimore? No, St. Louis. When that went awry. When, what was his?
Ferguson, the whole thing?
Was it Ferguson? Yeah. Where it's, hands up, don't shoot.
Oh, yeah, Michael Brown.
Yeah, Michael Brown. So once that fell apart, what did they do? They moved it from the police to the justice system. When it went through the court, the justice system is flawed. But before it was the police. Well, are they going to move this from the police to a crooked justice system? Will they just move the targets? Okay, so it's not Donald Trump. It's the crooked police that just won't get it done, or it's the justice system that is just persecuting. And will he be treated as a star still? I think there's a chance that yes.
Well, I mean, you even have people who are currently running for president, like Cory Booker, who initially, when the accusations were made, he came out and talked about how it was terrible, that there was all this hatred. I think he also used the term lynching, as we saw from Kamala Harris's Twitter account. But then they asked him over the weekend, after these new stories started to develop, how he felt about it and if he wanted to amend his statement. And he still, all of a sudden, said, well, I mean, I think that, all the facts are still coming out and we should slow down and just wait for all the facts to come out. Well, interesting, because you didn't want to wait for the facts to come out when you originally answered, So, I mean, it's like you have all of these politicians also who want to make these snap judgments and then they don't retract them.
But you're incentivized to.
Absolutely.
Because it's virtue signaling. And if you haven't responded, why haven't you responded?
Yeah.
Well, why weren't you on that right away? Why did you wait a day or two?
In his follow-up, he made it a point to say that we also need to pay attention to, the fact that there are a lot of alt-right terrorist attacks. And I think we have that clip. Let's play it.
I'm going to withhold until all the information actually comes out from on-the-record sources. We know in America that bigoted and biased attacks are on the rise in a serious way. And we actually even know in this country that since 9/11, the majority of the terrorist attacks on our soil have been right-wing terrorist attacks. The majority of them white supremacist attacks, from the horrific shootings in Pittsburgh or in South Carolina church. What we're seeing is attacks on people because they're different, and we all need to join together and condemn those attacks and the hatred and the bigotry that sources them.
Do you think it's time for Mr. Smollett to address this more publicly, though, given what's out there?
Again, I'm following this in the news as you are, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
Convenient.
That study pisses me off. Actually, those statistics are actual FBI statistics, and we talked about this this morning. Those statistics will show that, yeah, there is a larger number of those types of violent attacks versus, I don't know, Islamic extremism or whatever. But those attacks, and again, we talked about this, include basic regular gang crime. So there'll be like domestic violence issues, like a Nazi skinhead punched his wife, or a Nazi skinhead shot a guy while he was robbing a convenience store. Has nothing to do with racism whatsoever, but it gets fights in prison are included in that. Now, even if you added up all the numbers of the actual victims, there were still far more victims for Islamic terror. We'll just take Islamic terror. Far more victims on that side. But the numbers are so heavily skewed. But they'll make those stupid claims like that because they know that people will not actually go in and read the statistics. It's so dishonest.
I probably would have heard this if I was listening to the entire Steve Deace program earlier today.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
A brilliant explanation.
It really is. Yeah, no,
great.
it is really. And you know, I love, my favorite part of one of these studies is you always start the study comparing evil white right-wing terrorists to Muslim terrorists. The September 12th, 2001. It's always the starting point for that one. As if the 3,000 people on September 11th didn't die since 9/11. Well, 9/11 kind of matters, guys. It was sort of a notable event in our history.
That we didn't just start from zero.
Exactly. It's like, well, after that. Well,
I heard the media today has been pivoting to where it's like they don't want another Covington fiasco. So they've been saying, look, we didn't publish, you know, we always said alleged, you know, we didn't push this hard. And again, we spoke about this earlier, but what is the culpability of, like, say, New York Times, Washington Post, outlets like that, when their top journalists, their top producers, and their top editorial people, they with the top line in their description in their Twitter bio is editor, New York Times, but they're the ones by themselves are tweeting these things. Is there any culpability at all on that? Because if you read any of their tweets, you're like, oh, this is the guy from the New York Times.
right, but it's not. It's like their personal opinion, and those are the opinions
But
of my own.
shouldn't these publications, shouldn't they feel obligated to say, look, these are the rules of the company. You can't tweet like you were when you were in college.
Yes.
Yes. It is a gray area too. If they have a blue check mark, they have received that blue check mark and been verified for their job, for their position as a reporter. I do think that they have a responsibility on that. Glenn?
No, I'm just thinking, I don't know if this is a really ignorant thing or just a really snotty thing to say, because I've lived my whole life with a blue check mark. What the hell does a blue check mark even mean?
It just means you are
Nothing now.
the official. You're actually the person. So if another person could start a Glenn Beck account and without a blue check mark, we know it's not you.
Okay, but that's it. It's not that you're more credible or anything else, because I think people look at that and say, "Oh, that's more credible."
They do. They do, which is why I say if you know that you have it, you should have a responsibility of not tweeting out something that hasn't been.
This is not
verified.
uncommon. If you are working, it's called in contracts moral turpitude. Okay, moral turpitude. I cancel any contract at any time, and they can cancel them on me on moral turpitude. If I suddenly am a Bill Cosby, guess what? NBC is out. They don't have to worry about paying you anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pudding is on their own, and they're
Jello pudding.
Jello pudding on their own.
Pudding pops.
The same thing should be with the New York Times. It is here. If you started tweeting all kinds of racist things, okay, we would absolutely come to you and say, really, okay, you work here, and if you continued to do that on your own, we would be able to fire you without any problem. I believe.
Yeah.
I believe. Why is the New York Times not doing that with their editors? Because they don't care.
They want that.
it.
They want that. Yes, they want to further that narrative. All right, we got to take a quick break, and then we'll be back with
It really is.
More on media.
It really is fake legal.
Yeah,
Information bias.
Yes.
but yeah, that's the only people they hang out with.
All right, a lot more to get into, but first we want to thank our sponsor, Relief Factor. Relief Factor is, of course, the way that we all deal with Glenn now. We're very thankful to them.
That's a big selling point. No one can believe it's that effective.
I know, it really is. We would have all had to quit by now if it wasn't for Relief Factor, because
You do get a little cranky.
a little bit, but when you're in pain, it's like, astronomical.
No, I'm not really cranky. Am I cranky when I'm in pain? Jason,
No, sir.
you'll tell
No,
the
sir.
truth.
No.
Seriously.
Oh,
Am
it's like those Snickers commercials. They're like, sorry, but we give them a 3-week quick start pack instead of a Snickers.
Wow, that's the game we're playing here. Try the 3-week quick start. It may not stop you from firing 3 individuals, but it does relieve your pain. It does mine. 70% of the people who try it, it really works wonders. If you're part of that 30%, I'm sorry, but try it for 3 weeks. If it works, it's going to work in those first 3 weeks, and it is tremendous. Get your life back. Go to relieffactor.com.
And that 3-week quick start pack is $19.95. So like Glenn said, 30% of you are maybe out $20, but 70% of you are out of pain, and it's life-changing. All right, Stu, the media.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking back at about what seems like 47 controversies ago to the Virginia governor blackface scandal for a moment. Because I think occasionally when you have a little bit of time to breathe on a story like this, you can get additional perspective. And so we all know the story. There's a picture of in the yearbook, here it is, of blackface with a Ku Klux Klan member.
That is always hysterical.
Always comedy.
Oh my gosh,
and he's
it's
like,
funny.
that's not me in the blackface, but I did dress up as Michael Jackson in a. It's just a bizarre defense.
If I may say, he did not say it wasn't him. He said he doesn't recall it being him either in blackface or the hood.
Yes,
What
true.
PR person is going to tell him to make that statement?
No, that was weird. And then he didn't even go on to describe how he did it. I took a little shoe polish, and it's like, dude, don't know. We do not. You're not helping yourself. So, Democratic governor, again, I have no reason to defend him, and I am not defending what he did or what he did. But it is important, as we've learned with the founders, to put actions in the context of the time that they occur. The New York Times came out about the governor and said, it's the governor who parties like it's 1884. Part of the article, in his opening statement, the governor said, in this place, a time where I grew up, many actions that we rightfully recognize as abhorrent today were commonplace, as though that time and place were 1884. But to live in this country and live in this century and to still be talking about white men impersonating black people, it's suspect to believe it's always 1884 somewhere. You get the attitude of the New York Times here. It's like, this guy believes the 1980s it was okay to do this. That's unbelievable. Well, it had me thinking a little bit about a certain movie that came out in the 1980s. The movie's called Soul Man. I believe we have a clip of the trailer. Can we watch a little bit of this entertaining
Total for 3 years of law school.
Wait a second, look at this. Full tuition for the most qualified applicant.
Most qualified black applicant. $53,979. Don't you think you're overreacting? No.
Congratulations, Mr. Watson.
Thank you, sir. I'll do my best.
Some people will do anything to get into Harvard.
It's gonna be great. These are the 80s, man. It's the Cosby decade.
For Mark Watson, all it took was a little soul.
I'd like you to meet my good friend, Kareem Abdul-Ali.
We got Washington here on the coin toss, so he'll take Leon.
That's Watson.
Right. Sorry, Marcus.
Yeah, there may be a problem here. Your roommate was a,
What?
black Negro.
A black Negro?
You know, there's something really strange about you, and I don't know what it is.
Oh, God, is she beautiful? You gotta believe me.
You must have learned a great deal more than you bargained for.
Tell her I'm white. Don't tell her you're white.
What's going on?
Can we blame him for the color of his skin?
I don't know how much more we need to see of this. Point being,
Oh, it looked just hysterical.
just hysterical, right? That was a movie that came out in 1986, approximately 6 years after the governor supposedly dressed in blackface as Michael Jackson's. Now, remember, this is a major studio release. This was not, I mean, was it controversial? Some people didn't like it all that much.
They were hitting
was
affirmative action and the whole blackface.
They were.
I
Both.
was scarred for life.
See, Glenn was scarred for life. You know who wasn't scarred for life? The New York Times, when they reviewed Soul Man in 1986. Here's what they write. There's nothing automatically funny about the story of a rich white college boy who masquerades as black in order to collect a scholarship at Harvard Law School. That's putting it mildly. But Soul Man, which opens today at other theaters, has a breezy, unapologetic manner, and it also happens to be funny, which goes a long way toward making up for any underlying obtuseness or insensitivity. It was underlying to them. The guy's in blackface for the entire movie. They called it a cheerful frat house version of Tootsie, a blithe, silly, good-natured movie, and of its kind, quite an enjoyable one. They also, this one's really bizarre, a pretty actress named Melora Hardin does what little she can with the role of a white girl who wants to sleep with Mark simply because he's black. Something about 400 years of oppression and anger, as she explains it, which is just a really creepy, weird line. Bottom line is, in the time, 6 years after, they were saying it was completely unacceptable for the governor to have blackface, they were reviewing positively a movie about blackface. They praised it. They thought it was funny. They thought it was an enjoyable romp. And,
because it was unapologetic.
Because it was unapologetic, right, which is strange. I mean, again, you have to put yourself in the time when these things are occurring. Does anyone defending blackface? No, of course not. But certain jokes go out of style, certain ideas go out of style. I mean, this is Hollywood. It's not a conservative bastion. Liberals at the time were releasing movies in blackface. 6 years after, the New York Times is accusing this guy of being the most incomprehensible human being of all time. I mean, I think...
I would like to remind you that the governor still has his job in Virginia.
He does.
Megyn Kelly just simply asked. So if I'm impersonating somebody and I like them, like Diana Ross, why is it wrong to wear blackface? An honest question. You have the clip? Play it.
You do get in trouble if you are a white person who puts on blackface on Halloween, or a black person who puts on whiteface for Halloween. Like, back when I was a kid, that was okay as long as you were dressing up as like a character. There was a controversy on The Real Housewives of New York with Luann, as she dressed as Diana Ross, and she made her skin look darker than it really is, and people said that was racist. And I don't know, I thought, like, who doesn't love Diana Ross? She wants to look like Diana Ross for one day. I don't know how, like, that got racist on Halloween.
Fired.
Wow, fired.
So benign.
Fired. The two guys who are dressed in blackface and Klan outfits that are in the Democratic Party in Virginia still have their job. She was fired, and the press applauded. Why? She worked at Fox.
They like the outcome.
Yeah. I don't even think she liked Trump.
No, definitely didn't. She got in huge fights with him every day.
So she didn't even like Trump. It was just, there was no MAGA there. It was just, you worked at Fox.
Ends justify the means, right?
Yep.
I mean, they themselves were guilty of the same things they're now criticizing. And, no one goes back and looks at that stuff, but it's important too. That context of the time is vitally important to understand a moment in history.
Especially with what's coming. I don't know if you saw in the Yale press, but the Yale newspaper, I guess I should say it with a pipe in my mouth, the Yale newspaper actually printed an editorial from a black woman who said, we all know that white boy with that grin on his face, and we know that someday we'll see him on television sitting down to a confirmation hearing as a senator or something like that. And we'll all remember the things that he said, but we didn't take a snapshot. We didn't make a journal of it. And we have to keep these white boys. So I'm asking all of the students at Yale to keep track, follow the white boys, take pictures of them, write down what they're doing wrong so we won't forget. Wow. Oh my gosh.
God, that's horrifying. Back in a minute.
The only time I ever saw a communist newspaper was on the campus of Yale, my first day.
Really?
My very first day. I walked on the campus. It's cool.
All right, if you are watching us on TV, you may be unaware that we have this little thing we do every show called Overtime, where we continue the conversation.
Great.
Yeah, so there's 2 places where you can find it.
Holy cow.
iTunes or wherever you get your podcast, because we do it on podcast. But then you can't see our faces, which I know you guys want to see these gentlemen's faces. No. So you can either do it on podcast, and don't forget to subscribe and rate us and give us 5 stars, give us all the stars.
It actually helps. If you rate us and review us, it helps other people discover the podcast.
Yes. Or you can find it at BlazeTV.com. Use promo code NEWS and get $10 off of your subscription. And so you get to see us, you get to see our faces, and you get access to so many more conservative voices, which is huge in this day and age. Am I selling you on it?
Oh,
you're going to go there?
I'm subscribing right now.
Yeah. Great.
Mentally, I'm filling it out
Overtime starts
right
next.